Hey everyone, Cody Menz here, and this video I'm going to be going over a bit of the new Tier 8 Premium Japanese tank destroyer, the Kari, which, this tank, it's undergone a name change, throughout the super test process, and now we're seeing it released during the St. Paddy's Day 2023 event that Wargaming is kicking off here. I'm sure this tank will be available, at some point in the future as well, but at least for now, first Japanese, premium tank destroyer here being released, and kind of what's about it. Is it worth getting? How to play against it, how to play it, and yeah, is it worth picking up? The 2D style on this tank too is a new Jurassic period or whatever style that's coming out for the event as well. But when it comes to this tank, is it really worth getting? Now, where the closest tank to this is the Jagdpanther II. I'm going to do a quick breakdown of this tank and then get into some gameplay afterwards for those interested in seeing it played. Don't know if the battle is going to be good or not. In any event though, let's jump into this, because one thing you'll notice is the hull armor on the front says 220 millimeters. This thing honestly doesn't really have that much armor. Yes, it's thick. However, looking at the armor here, so we'll put it against a 205 millimeter penetrating 200 or 120 millimeter gun penetrating 205 millimeter. Excuse me there. Just shoot an AP round. So this tank, it's got 7 degrees of gun depression. Not super great. It is tall, so like you'll be able to poke over like some cover without using hills. But when it comes to the armor, it's thicker than the Jagdpanther II. But kind of like the Ferdinand as well, which has some armor which is comparable to the Jagdpanther. This tank, you're gonna get penned most of the time. Sure, people won't really want to shoot here because they have a chance of not penning you, but let's be honest, like a lot of people will shoot heat for you. There's a lot more basically penetration out there at tier 8, 9, and 10 than 255 millimeters as well, and your hull, basically you're gonna get penetrated. If you try to side scrape, you have basically no armor on the sides and you're going to get penetrated. And using a little bit of gun depression here, like guesstimating this at 70 degrees here, they're still going to penetrate you. So you're kind of in the same boat as the Ferdinand, Jagdpanther II when it comes down to your armor to wear. Sure, some lower tiers will bounce off you, but let's be honest, like this thing doesn't really have any armor in today's game. Now, getting into a quick comparison here, with the Jagdpanther II. So Kari does 500 damage. It has 2 AP rounds, 1 standard and 1 premium. You can pretty much forget about the standard round because it's 100% inferior to the premium round. So the standard, 980 shell velocity, a little slow for a TD. And then you have the 500 damage, base pen of 252. Premium round, travels faster, has more penetration, does the same damage. Plus, being an AP round, it still has the same normalization, so 100% better, except for the cost being 5,200 versus 1160 for the standard round. HE round here, it's only 90 millimeters of pen, a little slow at 900 meters per second. To where the HE round, you might use it on like light tanks or like maybe shots that you can't pen, but it's not super useful otherwise. Field mods are the same as the Jagdpanther II as well. Now, what sets this tank apart? Looking at like the upcoming Japanese TD line, this seems kind of similar to them in that they're going to have a bit higher base pen, it seems like, especially the tech tree ones. This one actually has less premium pen, I believe, than the Jagdpanther II, which has 311 on the premium round, whereas this has the 298. Now, damage is still good. Penetration's okay, but nothing perfect. It does have better accuracy, a better aiming time. Your gun traverse and gun depression just a pinch better, but nothing too crazy. You do have lower DPM. You do have slightly better on the move accuracy than the Jagdpanther II as well, for your gun stats. And when it gets down to the nitty gritty, like you do have a little bit more hit points. Listed armor is better, but I'd say it's a wash, to be honest. Like the Jagdpanther has some angles, whereas this is a little bit more flat, but you're going to get penned in either regardless. And when it comes to mobility, this is quite a bit slower, although the reverse speed's much faster in reverse, which is very nice. And the specific power is a bit better. You do way less, surprisingly. Like, I would have guessed that this weighs more, just off of initial thoughts, but it does weigh less. And then one thing to note, the thing actually has better camouflage, and I'm pretty sure I have these set up correctly without any camos on either tank. So strangely enough, this has higher camo, and it does have better view range, 20 meters, which is pretty significant. The 20 meters of view range is probably the best thing this tank has over Jagdpanther II, because it does allow you to not really worry about optics as much, because with a decent crew here, I'm at 427 without having to run optics at all. You know, the only thing really affecting it is the vent, you know, the bond vents, and then crew skills. So it is something nice to where if you're someone who uses food on your tank, you know, you're going to be a pretty significant advantage over a lot of TDs at tier 8 just because of that base view range. Now, jumping into a battle here, and you know, who knows how this battle is going to go. It's probably going to be awful, but is this tank really worth getting? You know, it doesn't seem the most interesting, to where I'm very, I guess, disappointed that Wargaming didn't stick with the initial stats of this tank, which it was supposed to have a essentially a, which I'm gonna teleport here, really super good editing here, just teleported over there, some epic effects. Initially it was supposed to have a higher damage, lower penetration premium round. Doesn't have that anymore. You know, it's just got the premium rounds better in every way essentially than the standard round now, which really I feel like turned this tank from something super interesting to it's basically Jagdpanther II. So like, is it worth going out of your way to get this tank? You know, it's debatable, just because like I'm sure a lot of people will end up liking this tank, which, oh my god, this is the first battle I played on this account to where, yeah, this is awful. I have like nothing set up with the minimap or anything. Yeah, I'm sure some people will end up liking this tank because specifically, which I'm spotted already, you know, some people really like tank destroyers like this. But, you know, I always look at it as, I guess, the main selling feature of this, so good reverse speed, good V range for a TD, and it's comparable, although the low DPM hurts it a little bit. It's still decent, you know, you still have a tier 8 TD gun to where it will pump out damage. To where it seems really well balanced in my opinion, to where, you know, the main upsides being the view range definitely come in handy, to where it'll be interesting to see what the tech tree line is like. But you do have to factor in this is the first Japanese TD, so for those wanting to get ahead on crew training, this will be very important, because, you know, the next tank line is shaping up to be those Japanese TDs. And, you know, outside of that, it's definitely just, I guess, a bit more, you know, you're comfortable in this tank, but it doesn't have that, I guess, like, wow factor, you know, when it comes to like some new mechanic. And balance wise seems right on point to me, to where it doesn't seem too good or too bad, to where, you know, you definitely have to factor that into whether you're okay with that, because I personally would rather Wargaming release more tanks like this, to where they're not basically too good, they're not overpowered, they're not broken, to where you can definitely see pros and cons with this tank versus, you know, what we already currently have in the game. So I'll give them credit in that, although notably though, the tank is a pinch, not boring, it's just, if you've played the game for a long time, especially played the German tank destroyers, you basically already have played a tank that's very comparable to this one. So I feel like that's definitely gonna hurt this tank a little bit with, you know, popularity, but, you know, I'm definitely happy that the tank is not like another BZ-176 you know, fiasco. This is shaping up to be one of those awful battles. hoping to avoid. But performance-wise, you know, for those that are not super familiar with the Jagdpanther II, this tank, honestly, even though that's not the most popular tank out there, I think it's, you know, pretty good to where you know what you're getting, you know, with it being a TD, single shot, you know, it's basically not a turret, any crazy auto reloader or auto loader or anything, to where you're not going to regret picking this up if you like tank destroyers like that. If you're more of like a heavy tank player, or light tank, medium tank, you know, you're definitely getting into this is 100% a tank destroyer because you don't have the turret, you don't have side armor, you know, your front armor is very, you know, I'm very skeptical that this will work even against some lower tiers because a lot of people will spam premium at you. So it's one of those things that them releasing it the way that they are, you know, through the St. Patty's Day event makes a lot of sense because would people fork out a lot of money up front just for this tank? They'd be banking on it just being the first Japanese TD as the selling feature, whereas, you know, they're bundling it with additional content here, essentially. Man, I'm so screwed up by this minimap. Man, this guy's coming for me. Okay, I definitely just turned the wrong direction. This light tank is 1000% gonna kill me. Oh my god, I just missed. Luckily, nobody will ever see that. Oh wait, I'm recording here. and I don't edit my videos. This is bad. Ram! Ram! No, he's not. Oh! Ricocheted. Epic fail. Anyway, though, hopefully, you know, if you're watching this video and it's early on, you know, during the release of this tank, this might help you out a little bit, deciding whether you should go for it or not go for it, or if it's being, you know, sold months, years, whatever later, you could just laugh at me dying. Overall, this tank, you know, I'm sure a lot of people are going to nitpick about it to where it's definitely not one of those standout, really must-have tanks performance-wise or like unique gameplay factor. But the combination of, so the gun's really easy to use, albeit definitely it's focused on premium with the shell velocity and the penetration. But the combination between the mobility, the easy to use gun, and most specifically the view range is a nice combo on a tier 8 TD. But there's definitely, you know, better tanks out than this when it comes to, you know, tier 8s in general, tier 8 TDs. But, you know, this should be an easy to pick up tank to play overall. Just let me jump out of this battle because at this point it's kind of pointless. So go in, I guess, with the mindset of you're buying a Jagdpanther II with slightly tweaked stats. But, you know, if you don't want to, for the St. Patty's Day event, gamble with essentially not getting this tank, you know, because it's a very low percentage chance to specifically get it, I definitely wouldn't, I guess, be beating down the door to get it, because you could just purchase one or even two if you count the Ferdinand tanks that are in the tech tree that play very similar to this. In any event, though, I'm going to cut myself off here because I'm starting to ramble. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time, hopefully in another tank review or preview when I have a chance. Have a good one. See you around.